I think a lot of people, they'll read the latest sales training handbook or they'll go to the latest seminar. And I went to all those, and I agree with educating yourself on the different tactics and open-end questions versus closed-end questions, et cetera, et cetera. But the truth of the matter is you're not going to know until you get in that office what that person wants, but you're almost preconditioned. And I think for me, I was just nervous. I was like spitting out all about me. Like, this
Hmm.
is what I've done. This is who I am. Look at my great resume, blah, 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 blah. Instead of, like you said, taking a half a step back and saying, okay, like, what do you need? How can we make this work together? And throughout time dealing with other bankers, Matt, I learned that bankers have goals as well. Like, they need so many types of a certain loan, they need to have so many deposits in their bank, they need to have, different things that they're graded on from their superiors. And if you can help them solve those problems as well, where it's good for them, and you can only get there by asking them what they need, it's a win-win situation. You're just helping them look good in front of their boss.
Yeah, and I would imagine that applies to every type of funding source, even, like even a venture capital firm. They probably have certain targets of how much capital they're trying to allocate, and they're
Exactly.
telling their investors like this is how much capital we intend to allocate. And so they probably all have targets, right, of what they're trying to lend, how much they want to give away. Um,
Yeah.
and it's
And
just
in
our
different seasons, even different times in the year. Like, you might hit one in January and that's great, but it may be horrible for another fund who does all of their main giving in December. Like even that, even the minutia of figuring out the timing on those things make a difference.
So one last question I wanted to ask you about that experience was just what that did for your mindset afterwards and how it kind of affected how you went into finding solutions, whether it was with bankers or with customers or with vendor partners. You know, what did that do for your psyche and what did it do for your approach to how you deal with these types of issues and as you went forward?
Well, I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. I went in asking more, what do you need, instead of what I need you to give me. And that's probably the biggest learning curve. When I received it and went on to win the SBA Entrepreneur of the Year award, that gave me a huge amount of confidence. But what kept me from being just confident and not cocky was the 7 times I was rejected. so,
Yeah.
so I knew, don't
Yeah.
think too much of yourself, because you were only one decision away from, from that. So
Going
I,
back to your job. Yeah, one decision
yeah,
away from begging for your job back, right?
yeah, 1,000%. So I think if somebody can keep a humble approach and an attitude of gratitude, I think that will get them a lot further in life than going up and just throwing up on someone what they need. Aren't you lucky to talk to me? There's a whole, because we're talking about bankers now, but you're right. It could be a PE fund, it could be a venture capitalist, it could be a family fund, it could be anybody. All those guys have personalities, all those women have personalities, and if you clash and you present yourself hard to work with, I don't care what your financials look like, it's going to be difficult for you to do business. Conversely, if you're, just coming up and having trouble qualifying for things, if you can let them know that you're there to help them win as well, and have, like I said, an attitude of gratitude, that can go miles. That can go further than you having more money in your bank account.